No, I'm not in front of where the but you can use the lobby and check it out. That's how just come
Please move faster. I'm sorry.
this is numbers.
II and the President of the Republic. We may welcome the second President of our Fourth Republic, His Excellency John Adekunbo Ames.
Reminds us that prosperity must honor tradition, community, and sustainability. We give thanks also for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of our Republic, whose vision for Ghana seeks to harness our nation's wealth for the good of all its people. As we begin this crucial dialogue on sustainable mining and rural growth, we ask for wisdom that every decision made here may balance progress with preservation, profit with justice, and innovation with responsibility. Bless our minds to think beyond today. Bless our hands to work with integrity. Bless our policies to protect both people and planet. And most of all, bless our homeland Ghana and all nations of the world to leverage resources not just for wealth, but for global impact that uplifts generations to come. May this conference bear fruit that lasts. To you, the great God of nations, and we pray in faith and in thanksgiving. Amen. Please be seated. The second president of our fourth republic, Your Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor, our host minister and his minister for lands and natural resources, Honorable Emmanuel Ahmad Kofi-Boah, MD, the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Honorable Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim. From Liberia, the Minister for Mines and Energy, Honorable Wilmot J. Pai. From Niger, the Minister for Mines, Colonel Osman Mudiaji. From Malawi, the Minister for Mining, the Honorable Dr. Kenneth Zikale Ngoma. From Ghana, the Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Alaji. From the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Deputy Minister for Mines, His Excellency Goda Motsemuna Ibolo. In Somalia, the Deputy Minister for Petroleum and Mineral Resources, the Honorable Abdi Waham Abdi Omar. From Guinea, the Deputy Minister Mines and Geology, the Honorable Abubakar Kurama. Our special guest, the Secretary General of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, His Excellency Wankele Mene, Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, a Global Mining Executive, Executive Chairman of the Jonah Capital and member of the Advisory Board of the Summit, Sir Sam Jonah. Our special guest, the Executive Chairman of Engineers and Planners, Mr. Ibrahim Mahama, the Honorable Johnson Esiedu Ketia, and the entire leadership of the National Democratic Congress, Majority Leader of the Parliament of Ghana, and MP for Boku, the Honorable Mahama Ayariga, Security Chiefs and Service Commanders, Chief Executives and Directors of Minerals and Mining Organizations and Associations, Executives from multilateral organizations, eminent traditional and religious leaders, our esteemed speakers and delegates, members of civil society organizations, the academia, security services, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending to the court of our King to be part of Africa's growing gold industry at this inaugural Mining in Motion Summit right here in Ghana, the home of the Golden Stool, and by divine right, the largest gold producer in Africa. Clearly the Nigerians are generous, that's why that applause is going on. For 3 inspirational days, ours will be a labor of love as we make meaning of our theme, sustainable mining and local growth, leveraging resources for global impact through the lenses of broad stakeholders here in Ghana. It is my fervent hope and prayer that we will find within the tranquility of this city and in the ambience of this hotel the wherewithal to deliberate and, amongst many other things, promote responsible and innovative artisanal small-scale mining practices, policy reforms and international collaborations in Ghana, while highlighting ASM's contribution to economic development in the global south. With these words, let me say, welcome to some, bienvenue to others, bienvenida, bienvenido, mahaban. But most importantly, let me give you the truest and most sincere form of African hospitality enshrined in that 7-letter word. We say Akwaba, to which people say Ya, Akwaba. And by extension, you are all sons and daughters of our King Asanteman and Ghanaman. Give yourselves a round of applause. This opening ceremony will feature 3 speeches and a presentation. It's my pleasure now to invite to welcome us on behalf of our King, the CEO of Ashanti Green Initiative and the founder of Mining in Motion. I give to you Okeniba Kweku-Ediah.
Good morning. Seeing my brother in front row is making me a bit nervous. Forgive me if I make any mistakes. Your Majesty, the 24th II, Your Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, former President John Agyekum Kufuor, Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the inaugural Mining Innovation Summit. First and foremost, I thank the Almighty God for granting us the grace to come together for a cause that holds such great significance for our country and our continent. I offer my deepest appreciation to my father, His Majesty the Truthful Satan II, King of the Ashanti Kingdom, and the convener of the Mining and Ocean Summit, for his vision and leadership, which has made this moment possible. It is a moment to reflect, reset, and reshape the future of mining and government. As part of that vision, this summit was designed to convene the entire value chain in one group, from miners to refiners, traders to regulators, NGOs, financial institutions, academia, policymakers, and traditional leaders, all coming together to forge a real, practical solution for the future of our mining sector. I also want to thank His Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, for his unwavering commitment to reforming and strengthening Ghana's mining sector. And I extend my special thanks to the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Emmanuel Kofi Amawo. He has been instrumental to the success of this summit, working tirelessly to align stakeholders, shape policy direction, and ensure that this platform reflects both national priorities and the needs of our mining communities. We are equally honored by the presence of the Secretary Generals of the African Future Continental Area and the African Mineral Strategy Group, and other distinguished guests from across the continent and beyond, including representatives from the OECD, the LDMA, the World Food Council, and the World Bank. To our sponsors, thank you for believing in this vision and making it possible to convene such a diverse and high-level gathering. I want to say a special thank you to Animal Ashanti, who were the first people to respond when the idea of this initiative was released. Their early commitment, belief in this vision, and continued support have elevated the summit from a concept to the continental platform. To the dedicated teams of the Ashanti Green Initiative, Energy Capital and Power, and the entire planning committee of the Mining Initiative, thank you for your tireless work and commitment in bringing this vision to life. It is time to put mining into motion. Thank you.
The Royal and Reformer embodies the balance between progress and sustainability. Thank you for your warm words of welcome, Nana Kudia, MD, Ashanti Green Initiative. We will now have a foundational address on the role of traditional authorities in shaping artisanal and small-scale mining practices in Ghana. Through the centuries, the wisdom of the Asante, the kings of Asante, has bridged the ancient and the modern, carrying the Golden Stool's legacy not just as a symbol of authority, but as a sacred trust to protect their people and their heritage. As visionary leader, unifier, and steadfast guardian of sustainable progress, the 16th and current Asante and current occupant of the environment of the Golden Stool has long championed responsible stewardship of Ghana's mineral wealth in its domain as custodian of the wealth of its people, balancing tradition with innovation, ensuring that the lands flourish while the communities thrive. Today, he graces us with his presence and his insight to speak to us on a matter of urgent importance: the role of traditional authorities in shaping artisanal and small-scale mining, not just as regulators, but as custodians of justice, sustainability, and the future of our environment. Mr. President, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is with profound honor and a great sense of privilege I give to you the King of Asante, His Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu II.
My brother, Thank you, Excellency the President, for allowing me to be the President of Ghana for the next 30 minutes or so. Thank you very much for the honor. My son, who is organizing this mining in Motion, was trained by his uncle, Cesar Luna, and his brother, Ibrahim Muhammad. They trained him, looked after his school and everything, and then I see the reason why he's into mining is that Ibrahim influenced him. Your Excellency, we are deeply honored to welcome this August audience and thank each one of you for traveling from far and near to join us in this very exciting exercise. At the very outset, we count our blessings in the privilege of sharing this moment under the very distinguished patronage of the President of the Republic, Your Excellency John Dramani Mahama. It is a source of immense pride to recount the amount of time and effort the President has invested personally in encouraging our preparation for this summit. And it is only right that we acknowledge and pay tribute to the energy, creativity and insight with which he has begun the task of resetting the agenda for the economic regeneration of our country. We wish you every success, Mr. President. We have assembled together as stakeholders and industry experts to tackle what must be one of the most pressing issues facing not just Ghana, but many other countries in Africa. Namely, how to guide the critically important mining sector moving in a direction which allows us to curb its negative effects while maximizing benefits. It is an awesome feeling to be able to assemble such a glitter of global power, knowledge and expertise. It is a testimony to the fact that the issue at hand is not only of concern to Ghana or even the continent of Africa, but it is of equal concern to the world at large. This explains the collaboration of the World Bank, the World Gold Council, the African Free Continental Trade Organization, the London Gold Bullion Association, the Dubai Group and other international institutions in this summit. We are most grateful to all those who have made this possible. We have also been fortunate to enjoy the fruitful collaboration, support and encouragement of the diplomatic missions of the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and of course our sister African countries, the Republic of Guinea, South Africa, and Nigeria. We are particularly proud to welcome the delegation also from Guinea, whose presence underscored the level of importance this must be to the continent of Africa. We also acknowledge the moral support of Ambassador Virginia Palmer, the United States Ambassador, who also gave my son all the support in organizing this. Excellency the President, Excellencies and Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, the August audience has been assembled today to begin a 3-day dialogue on the mining industry in Ghana and Africa. Mining has always been critical to Ghana and to the African continent. As you will recall, until a mere 70 years ago, we were called the Gold Coast, reflecting the prevalence of the precious metal in our land. Mining has been the bulwark of our economy through the ages. It remains critical to our nation today, accounting for over 12% of GDP and providing the largest source of employment. Ghana is not the only African country for whom mining is so critical. Most African countries are rich in mineral resources and are dependent on mining for the raw materials they export to and the foreign currency they need for development.
Sure.
We also need to underscore the fact that the producer countries are not alone in the reliance upon the mining industry. Mining is equally critical to the global economy because they provide the bulk of the raw materials that feed the industries of the globe and create employment for millions around the world.
Sure.
It is the reason the global market has to be concerned with any development that threatens to impact negatively on the industry.
Sure.
The universal concern about the impact of illicit mining on the environment in Ghana is therefore perfectly understandable and very much welcome. The pollution of our water bodies, the destruction of our forest space, and the degradation of our virgin lands cannot be allowed to continue unchecked.
Sure.
They exacerbate the destruction of our environment and multiply our vulnerability to the effects of climate change.
Sure.
It cannot be denied that the cocktail of regulatory failures, political miscalculations, and corruption have combined to make the task of curbing the menace more challenging. But there is no issue here which is insoluble. We have an opportunity to calmly dissect the policy options and tools available to deal with the problem.
Sure.
I feel sure it is within the capacity of this gathering of industry experts, end users and policymakers to fashion our solutions that work for the good of the nation. I feel obliged, however, to call for a sense of perspective. The mining industry has had its challenges in recent years, symbolized more forcefully by the near collapse of AngloGold Ashanti in Obuasi. But Obuasi is back on track, and overall, the industry to me is in robust health.
Sure.
All our major companies are improving on their performance. The emergence of the new gold board is a creative initiative with new horizons for the industry, increasing the raising prospects for more investments and higher yields. As I'm sure we will hear from the Minister for Lands, who will be speaking later, the outlook for the future is truly great, with increasing evidence of the presence of some of the new critical minerals the world needs to drive the new green economy.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we are in danger of diverting our attention from the bright prospects ahead onto the avoidable pitfalls of illicit mining. For the sake of the nation, please let us hold our nerves and allow ourselves to unwittingly obstruct the path to an even more robust industry.
Sure.
Since we began preparations for the summit, the resources with which the continent is endowed, I say that Africa continues to wallow in poverty and want. Our people constantly at the mercy of foreign philanthropy.
Sure.
In the answers to these questions, I hope this assembly will open a new page in the African narrative.
Sure.
We do not need to belabor the point that gold, silver, and all the precious metals of the mining industry have been with humanity since eternity. The book of Genesis account of creation in the Holy Bible tells us, and the gold of the land is good.
Sure.
And so it has been through every epoch of human history. The majesty and power of King Solomon was better reflected in the grandeur of gold. At the birth of Christ, gold, silver, and fragrance.
Sure.
Gold, silver, and fragrance were precious gifts the three wise men brought to the blessed Mary.
Sure.
The pharaohs of Egypt were gathered in life and in death in the glow of gold. Indeed, every empire known to history rested in great part on gold.
Sure.
In the industrial age of our time, gold has been the foundation upon which the wealth of nations have been built.
Sure.
Through every phase of this evolution, gold has been extracted from the depth of the land and refined by fire in the furnace.
Sure.
Everyone in this room knows that the process of extracting and refining the metal has never been hazard-free. Indeed, every mining process entails a degree of hazard which cannot be dismissed. But
Sure.
the mining industry has always had processes to mitigate the hazards and protect the environment.
Sure.
My brother, Dr. Samjona, can tell you this. Today, at the global level, it is is fair to say mining is safer than it has ever been. And the main operators in the industry in Ghana are no different. They are as efficient and as safe as any other country. So frankly, the ongoing struggle over illicit mining in Ghana is deeply depressing. It is depressing because the destructive effects are so obvious in beggars belief that there should be any pullback on efforts to combat them. And it is depressing because there are alternatives in the acknowledged best practices that offer greater benefits to the affected communities. Probably the most costly effect of illicit mining to me is the distraction from the real challenge we face, which is how we maximize the benefits of our noble heritage. We have to be true to ourselves and admit that we have not done a good job of representing and protecting ourselves in the competitive global market. Sami, I thank you very much on this one. Through the mining industry and then gold in particular has been pivotal to our economy over the years. When the statisticians tell us that mining has contributed an average of 12.3% to GDP and being the largest employer of labor in Ghana, they seem impressive. But how many of us, policymakers as well as social thinkers, have tried to assess the true value of the resources we dispense? How many have followed the value chain to the final consumer to calculate the true value of what we sell as raw materials? Most careful analysis should tell us that what we proudly exalt in our statistics is only a pittance of the true value of the resources we deliver to the market. The real wealth flows from the value which is added along the so-called value chain, but we are painfully excluded from this juicy portion of the value chain because the industries in the manufacturing process to whom we sell the raw materials are only located in the already rich countries. In this scenario, it is impossible to deny the contention that some sweat to egg out of crumbs. Some sweat to egg out of crumbs while others scream the milk. Indeed, even the gold market has been characterized as split between the golden rich of the end-use world and the gilded paupers of the produce nations. This world of inequity is untenable and unsustainable. Admittedly, this is a much broader issue encompassing the entire structure of the global economy. But because of its commanding posture in the divide between the North and the South, the mining industry is in a position to act as a catalyst for change. If we acknowledge that this inequity is at the root of ever-widening gulf between an increasingly impoverished Africa and the wealthy world, we should now acknowledge that we may be storing the ingredients for social disaster and disorder with catastrophic consequences possibly sooner than we realize. And if we are seized of this danger, then we owe it to ourselves, to the industry we are devoted to, and to posterity. Not to look the other way, but to grab the next and move the dial in a new direction. The gold market can show the way. It can show the way by increasing the titles of the market from London to Dubai, from Zurich to Brussels, to invest in partnerships in producer countries, for the establishment of manufacturing industry that will give them the capacity to add value to their raw materials. It may seem on the surface a curious request to make seeing this world, this would inevitably lead to the industrial world having to seek or lose a substantial part of their market share of manufactured goods. But that is precisely what needs to be done if the world is to contain the consequences of the inequities of the present. Continued social instability in Africa needs volatility, feeds volatility on global markets, which cannot be good for any investor. An economically strengthened Africa can only be a bulwark for market stability, which must be what the doctor orders for the investor. What has occupied my mind as I watch the warning signs is the necessity for the process towards the necessary reversal through genuine collaboration rather than divorce. I think it is in everybody's interest to reduce the heightened risk of doing business in Africa and encourage a greater willingness to invest in productive enterprises on the continent. Last year, I had the privilege of addressing the Citibank Group in London, and we urged the international finance community to be less risk-averse towards Africa, but demonstrate a greater disposition to work with the private sector to strengthen their capacity to move the economies up. A long history of productive collaboration puts the mining sector in a position to be an example of the mutual trust we need going forward. Indeed, the cherished friendships within the Gold Council encourages me to dare to think that we can work together to herald a new era of equity and shared prosperity. And thank you very much.
And with the voice that echoes the counsel of his ancestors and the clarity of a forward-thinking statesman, please help me appreciate our King, His Majesty Otumfuo Osei. We thank you ever so much, our King, for those wise words, which now set the tone for another foundational address on tokenization. Gold without borders, tokenization in the next chapter in African trade. Your Excellency the President, Your Majesty, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to him, gold should no longer be just a mineral. It should be a digital key to financial inclusion, cross-border wealth, and Africa's rightful place in the fourth industrial revolution. It is with such rich perspective he joins us to navigate on this transformative theme, gold without borders, tokenization, and the next chapter in African trade. The Secretary General of the AFCFTA is not just a diplomat, but a revolutionary architect of Pan-African commerce. Under his leadership, the AFTA has become the world's largest free trade zone, unlocking borders, dismantling barriers, and igniting a new era of shared prosperity. With the coming into force of the protocols on digital trade, women and youth in African trade being the first of its kind in the whole wide world. Mr. President, Your Majesty, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I give you His Excellency Wamkele Mene.
Your Excellency, President John Mahama, President of the Fourth Republic of Ghana, His Majesty Otumfuo Osei II, Your Excellency, President John Kufuor, former President of Ghana, Honorable Minister Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Ministers from the Government of Ghana, Ministers from across the length and breadth of our continent, Your Excellencies, High Commissioners, Ambassadors, distinguished leaders in the mining sector, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a pleasure and an honor for us to be invited to participate in this inaugural event. If I may congratulate His Majesty the King for the vision convening us here to elaborate on the sustainability of the mining sector, not just in Ghana but throughout the whole African continent. I also want to thank His Excellency President Mahama for his patronage of this event and for also his vision of sustainability in the mining sector. The AFCFTA Secretariat and the African Union, which I have the honor to represent here today, is proud to be associated with this event. It is, of course, fitting that we endorse and fully support this event. The government of Ghana has been instrumental in the success of the AFCFTA, in establishing a significant presence here in Ghana. The AFCFTA Secretariat is the largest African Union presence outside of Addis Ababa. I came here on the 15th of August 2020 to start the Secretariat. I was the only one in the Secretariat. Today, as we speak, we have 200 officials from across the African continent, representing different languages, different regions of our continent. And the reason we have been able to succeed in this mission is because of the support of the government of Ghana. As we speak, there are 49 state parties to the agreement establishing the AFCFTA, the fastest ratification of any instrument in the African Union, indeed, even under the Organization of African Unity. All of the protocols that our heads of states directed that we negotiate and conclude have been concluded. We are now transitioning to implementation mode to address Africa's pressing challenges, and the sustainability of the mining sector, indeed, is one of the challenges that we must confront. I therefore want to once again express my profound appreciation to the government and the people of Ghana for the successful implementation of the AFCFTA and the establishment of the Secretariat in 2020. As was noted, we meet at a time of profound global uncertainty, marked by shifting geo-economic tensions, the weaponization of trade policy, investment nationalism, industrial nationalism. Indeed, the continent of Africa must respond to these challenges. This imperative is reinforced by the ongoing strategic competition, which is increasingly defined by an approach that says me first, others last. Where does the African continent land in this environment? This dynamic makes it all the more urgent for Africa to deepen continental integration, to strengthen our resilience, and assert the economic interests of our continent more boldly on the global scale, especially as changes in global trade policy are looming, including the uncertainty of the future of AGOA. The operationalization of the AFCFTA offers the continent of Africa a transformative opportunity to drive industrial development, to drive sustainability, and to create a domestic market in Africa. The AFCFTA is a homegrown initiative rooted in Africa's own vision of prosperity. As a flagship project of Agenda 2063, the AFCFTA embodies our collective ambition to enhance intra-African trade, to ensure our own economic sustainability as a continent, and to see through the vision of our founding mothers and fathers when in May 1963, in the historic city of Addis Ababa, expressed the vision of a united Africa with an end to colonialism and, more importantly, a vision of economic integration. It is therefore befitting that the AFCFTA Secretariat is here in Ghana, a country that has always been at the vanguard of leadership in Africa. Key to the success of this agenda in this changing global environment will be how our continent leverages on digital technologies for sustainability, for inclusion, for poverty eradication, and to create jobs for millions and millions of young Africans. The Protocol on Digital Trade of the AFCFTA, which our heads of states adopted in February, is now in implementation mode. It is the first of its kind around the world and addresses very important aspects of Africa's digital economy, including payments, interoperable payment systems, movement of data, commercialization of data, and the right to move data throughout the continent. Therefore, the gathering here today, over the next few days, is timely and indeed is consistent with the ambition of the Protocol on Digital Trade of the AFCFTA. The theme that I have been invited to address, I quote, "Gold without borders, tokenization and the next chapter in African trade," unquote, is indeed, as I mentioned earlier, timely. The Protocol on Digital Trade provides the legal framework for us to explore the sustainability of the mining sector, leveraging on digital technologies. Gold tokenization offers a practical demonstration for operationalization of the AFCFTA's digital framework, including the reduction of transaction costs, boosting intra-Africa trade in the mineral sector, improving traceability, and enhancing financial inclusion. This not only reinforces the AFCFTA's commitment to value addition, processing of our minerals here on our continent, and the rules-based multilateral trading system born in Africa, but also serves as an example of the forward-looking, inclusive innovation and inclusive innovation that all of us must champion throughout our continent. And so, as we gather here today, permit me to state the obvious. We are not gathering to elaborate and discuss the dialogue on gold. It is about redefining the future of trade, particularly in the digital age, and it is about redefining the role of the mining sector and gold in particular in Africa's digital economy. The AFCFTA Secretariat is indeed proud to be associated with such a forward-looking event. This event, I am sure, will build on the momentum of the recently successful Digital Trade Forum, which was hosted by the President of Zambia and the AFCFTA Secretariat in May 2025. The forum reaffirmed Africa's digital potential. The political commitment is there, the investor commitment is there, and of course, our young people who are at the cutting edge of Africa's digital economy are ever ready to seize the opportunities that the digital economy presents to all of us. The International Financial Corporation estimates that by the year 2035, Africa's digital economy will be in excess of over 712 billion United States dollars, contributing over 6% to Africa's GDP. This is an immense opportunity that all of us must take advantage of. Our continent is a major gold producer, contributing over 1,000 tons in 2023, which is more than 20% of global output. This represents a significant source of wealth, with a large share coming from artisanal and small-scale mining, particularly here, our home in Ghana. However, despite this, up to 40% of Africa's gold remains undeclared, with an estimated $30 billion smuggled annually. This deprives governments of vital resources, of vital revenue, and undermines ethical sourcing and limits miners' access to finance. Therefore, tokenization offers a way to transform the structure of the gold industry. By representing physical gold digitally on secure blockchain platforms, tokenization enables traceable, near-instant cross-border trade in a secure manner. Globally, this model is gaining traction, with over $2 billion in tokenized gold assets as of 2024 alone, signaling rising investor confidence. Tokenization also presents the opportunity for us, as I mentioned earlier, to reduce costs, to ensure efficiency, and to expand on our ambition of financial inclusion. Now, if I may turn to the instruments of trade that can be offered by the AFCFTA as we transition the gold sector to align with our digital economy. The AFCFTA has local content rules, or rules of origin as they are called in trades. This shall enable the industrialization of the sector and shall ensure value addition and processing takes place on the African continent. The utilization of rules of origin to advance industrial development of the mining sector is a low-hanging fruit in our view, which we must take advantage of. There are various initiatives around our continent which indicate that more than ever, the continent of Africa is ready to take advantage of the digital technologies as they relate to the mining sector. Here in Ghana, the new Ghana Gold Board is introducing blockchain-based tracking to formalize production and reduce and eliminate smuggling. We see similar initiatives in South Africa, in the Central African Republic, across our continent, where digital technologies are deployed to advance on our ambition of industrial development, job creation, and competitiveness. These initiatives signal a decisive move beyond extractive models towards a future where Africa's gold is traceable, digitally tradable, and offers opportunities and inclusion. As we look to the future, the promise of gold tokenization is clear, but there are risks that we have to be aware of. A trade liberalization, investment liberalization, and creating opportunities when we process our own minerals, value addition of our own minerals, and attract investment in the mining, in the processing of our mining. While progress is visible, the challenges also remain. Therefore, our resolve to shape a future where Africa's resources uplift all of its people, and again I need to emphasize leveraging on digital technologies, this shall require that we become even more pragmatic in our actions and move collectively as a continent. Africa's gold has long been a symbol of wealth. Now, through innovation, collaboration, and leveraging on technologies, we have an opportunity to turn this vision into inclusive growth opportunities for all. Tokenization presents that opportunity to build a secure, transparent, and integrated mining sector where value is created, retained, and shared here on our continent. Allow me, as I close, to once again express my immense appreciation to the government and the people of Ghana, and also to His Majesty the King for the vision of convening us here to elaborate on the future of gold and the mining sector in particular. It is through Ghana's proactive and unwavering commitment and support of the AFCFTA that we are able today to proudly claim that not only do we have the world's largest free trade area, but also we are at the cutting edge of digital innovation through the protocol on digital trade. We also claim with pride that for the very first time around the world, we have a protocol on women and youth in trade, which does not exist anywhere else, which is able to ensure that we deliver on the promise and the aspiration of inclusivity, creating opportunities for women-owned and youth-owned businesses, and that we move beyond aspirations, which are, of course, important, but that we codify into legally binding commitments these aspirations of creating opportunities for small, medium enterprises that are owned by women and young people. With these words, I wish to thank all of you for your attention, and I wish us good deliberations over the next few days. I thank you very much.
Wow. An unshakable advocate for Africa's economic sovereignty and a leader at the forefront of rewriting Africa's trade destiny, please. His Excellency Wamkele Mene is yours for your applause. A grateful continent says thank you for all that you do and all on us to do. We now want to have another perspective, that's of Ghana's vision for a sustainable, artisanal and small-scale mining sector. In line with global demand for critical minerals, Ghana is advancing plans to scale up exploration and extraction of strategic resources such as bauxite, lithium, and others. The government is positioning the artisanal, small-scale mining sector as a cornerstone of its green industrial efforts, making 2025 the pivotal year for investment opportunities in Ghana's ASM mining sector. But we ask, what is Ghana's plan or Ghana's vision for sustainable, artisanal and small-scale mining sector? It falls to a distinguished public servant who currently serves as Ghana's Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, an MP for Lembele, who comes to us undoubtedly with a track record that is unsurpassed, given his legacy as Ghana's former Energy and Petroleum Minister, and ladies and gentlemen, having transformed Ghana's energy landscape through the landmark Sankofa and 10 oil field development that powers our nation to date. Make welcome, yours and mine, the Honorable Emmanuel Ama-Kofi-Addo.
Your Majesty, 247 Scientific, Your Excellency President John Kufuor, former President, Your Excellencies, colleague ministers from the continent, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We are gathered this morning to explore innovative ideas. We are gathered this morning, as Otunfo has stated,